in the back hear me? I'm in one of those domes. That's great. Yeah. So I'm Dan Baden. I'm with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I think I talked with most of you at the game jam. Who was not at the game jam? All right. Good. So, you've heard some of this before then. I want to go over a couple things, but first I just want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for coming to the game jam, but thank you for coming to this. They've got several really neat sessions set up for today, like I mentioned in the other room if you're over there. But we're going to be pulling teams out and having them show us your game throughout the morning. We have sessions set up throughout the day. We're going to talk about marketing, talk about research, talk about how to get your game from a demo stage to a finished, ideally published product. We'll talk about how you go through that process. But just lots of neat sessions through the day. So you can't leave people in that room if you like, but ideally you'd spend most of your time in here. So you can learn more skills and share your wisdom to help other people be productive in this field. My interest, I'm a game designer outside of work. I'm trying to work at CDC for the last 4 or 5 years developing games. I've done a couple games. But I'm a family doc, so you can mix strange skill sets together and still be successful. Whether I'm successful or not, I'm allowed to do this, so 25% of my time is allowed to work on games for the government, so that's a success enough. But I think you all know what's going to happen from here. We had 41 great games. Instead of just picking 15, we extended it to 16 so that we could include another game that's just this much behind the number 15. Today we're going to break it down and take 5 of you as finalist teams. And the finalist teams are eligible then for a piece of a $20,000 pie. You're going to be assigned, if you're one of those teams, you're going to be assigned a producer to help you through the process. You have just over 2 months to complete your game. You were supposed to complete a to-do sheet and bring that with you today, or actually send it to Abby yesterday. So we'll be going through those as well. We will then give you, if you're one of the 5 teams, a more complete one or other ones with our input, content, and those kind of things. All those things need to be completed by December 4th at noon. Anyone who accomplishes all the things on the list by December 4th at noon gets a piece of the pie. If the 4 other teams fail to do that, you get the whole pie. If all the 5 teams, which we would prefer, do it, you get $4,000 each to split between your team. So who knows what the pie is going to end up being, or the piece of the pie will end up being. This is kind of an experiment on our side, so we're happy to get feedback from you as well.
However, it is against the rules to off the opposing teams. That would not be the spirit of mutual meetings. So just so that's not my disqualification.
Which is more than most places because we only get 4 people on our team. It's nearly $250. Wow.
Okay, so the question was, are there plans to fully produce and release the game through CDC? And you own this game. We are asking that we have a license to do what we want with it, so I'm going to try, well, the one thing I know I'm going to do is take one of these 5 games and do a research project on it. We're going to take it to some local schools or YMCA or something along that line. I don't know the details yet because we don't know what the game is. And we're going to do it with a randomized control study where we have up to 100 kids playing this game and 100 kids playing another game. We test their knowledge of HIV beforehand, after 1 month, and 2 months down the road to see whether the knowledge has any difference between the 2 groups and to see if their sexual behaviors or risk behaviors have changed between those 2 groups. So when this is all said and done, you will have a piece of the pie. You will have been able to claim recognition saying, I was a finalist of the HHS Health Game Jam 2014. You will have had mentorship of a producer throughout those next 2 months. You can say that your game was developed in collaboration with CDC and potentially with National Institutes of Health and with HRSA. And if you are the one game selected for the research project, you will be able to say, we were actually studied, and say the results of the studies. Ideally, they'll be able to show increase in knowledge and behavioral change content. So, we are not going to publish your game. You own the game, but there's lots of things that make this potentially a game that other people would want to market as well. I don't know, we do have lots of channels for distribution and such, but it would be getting ahead of ourselves to make any kind of promises or anything. If it's something that is really effective, it's reasonable to think the CDC could have interest in that. But again, I wouldn't count on any money or any publishing or anything like that. So we've talked about the judging, we talked about the prizes, and the next step, again, December 4th at noon, I think that's a Wednesday. So you get to do the Thanksgiving break to finish the last little bits and get it to us a couple days afterwards. One other program I mentioned very briefly at the end of the Game Jam was our Public Health Associate Program. For those of you who are recently graduating from college or are going to graduate this year, we're hiring 200 people we hired, I think, next July, for government jobs. We're trying to get people who don't have public health experience. So, I mean, maybe some of you do, but the bulk of you probably don't have public health experience. We want to hire people like you, have you come work somewhere in the country in a health department for 2 years. It pays between 30 to 33,000 the first year and bumps up to 38 or so to 41 or so the second year. But it's a federal job, federal benefits, all those types of things. Also, under the current mechanism, the current way they're hiring people, if there's a group at CDC that would want you after those 2 years, they can just say, okay, we'll start paying your salary. So you wouldn't have to compete a second time. That may change by then, but that's the way it works right now. It's a great experience, it's a great opportunity, it looks great on your resume, and if you're able to do the things that you love and get paid for it, kind of like I'm doing with a quarter of my time, it's great. So remember that. We'll send word out to the entire group. The application is open for 1 week. It's very, very competitive. We get in the neighborhood of 3,000 to 5,000 applications, and last year we had 160 spots. So be aware of it, get ready for it. We'll send you information about it ahead of time. Let's see. I also need to thank the Department of Health and Human Services for providing the funding for doing this. I need to thank the Georgia Game Developers Association for hosting Siege and the Games for Health Day here so we could have this completion phase of the Game Jam. And also Southern Polytechnic State University, obviously, for hosting the Game Jam. So our partners were key in this. Last year when we did this, we were on furlough. The government was shut down, so we couldn't come here to the final phase.
You were missed.
We were glad we could come this. Thank you, Washington. Don't say that often. Thank you. So, any questions before we kick off into the rest of the sessions?
I got a question.
Yep.
The individual judging, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, like, we have the time slots, and judges are going to come around during time slots. So, I assume they're going to, like, test the game, and do they have, like, certain questions to ask, or is it just...
The things we're looking for are very similar to what we looked for before. The question was, what are the judges looking for? I'm sorry, is that right?
That's fine.
So they're going to look for how the game looks, how the game sounds, and again, we'll give a benefit to board games on how it sounds, unless you talk really fast. We're looking at how the game plays, how engaging it is, how easy is it to start playing the game. Ideally, people don't have to sit down for an hour or two. If you remember the old Avalon Hill board games, where they got 30, 60, 100 page rules. That's not going to work well for this. We're looking at how well HIV concepts are incorporated in the game, how likely it is those concepts will be picked up. And then finally, we're looking at your to-do list and how complete that is, how likely it is you can complete this game within 2 more months. So, I mean, you may have a fabulous, fabulous game, but it's so huge that there's no way you're going to get it done within 2 months. you may have no to-do list at all, in which case you don't have any idea of what you're planning to do. So those are the 4 criteria we're looking at. You have any questions?
Yes, if our instruction isn't completely implemented yet, and we have to explain to judges how to use the game, is that going to be a downmark how easy it is to play it?
It would be how hard it is for you to explain it to them. If you have to spend 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of your 10-minute slot talking about how to play the game, or how to physically maneuver around the game, that's probably not going to score as well as if you could do that shorter. Other questions? But I'm not one of the judges. Okay, well, good luck to all of you, and spend as much time as you can in here, but pay attention to the schedule. It's on the door, and it's on the table in there, so know about when your game's going to be judged. As I said, we're behind, so we're probably 15 minutes off. We're going to try and catch up between right around 10. We have a little break built in. We'll just skip that. You should probably plan on being there. Check in with me if you want to. I'll be in one of the tables over there, and I'll let you know how close we are to your game. But try and spend the bulk of your time in here, because they're really good speakers. Some who are sitting in the audience now. But thank you again for showing up. Thank you for your hard work last weekend, and good luck to all of you.